evil of yesterday. What if the village that raised you was the same village that murdered your family? This is the story of a girl who uncovered a conspiracy so dark, an entire community would rather watch her burn than let the truth come out. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because this story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about good and evil. And trust me, you need to stay until the very end for the twist that changes everything. Let me take you back to a night that would haunt an entire generation. Picture this, a small village, somewhere lost to memory. The year doesn't matter. What matters is what happened when darkness fell. While most villagers slept, flames erupted across the eastern quarter. Not one house. Not two. An entire section of the village turned into an inferno. Screams pierced the night. Families ran into the streets. Children cried for parents who would never answer. By dawn, the fire had consumed everything. Lives, homes, memories. But among the ashes and the death, something impossible happened. A baby's cry. Rescuers found her wrapped in scorched cloth, lying near the bodies of people no one would identify. Her skin barely touched by flame. Her lungs full of smoke but still breathing. Still fighting. No one knew who started the fire. That's what they said, at least. But here's what you need to understand. In small villages, everyone knows everything. Secrets don't exist. They're just truths people agree not to speak. Fast forward 15 years. The baby is now a teenager. Let's call her Amara. She grew up in another town, raised by a quiet man named Samuel who told her he was her uncle. A convenient lie. A merciful one. Amara was curious, like most teenagers. She asked about her parents. About where she came from. About the faded photograph Samuel kept locked in a drawer. Every single time, he changed the subject. The other adults were worse. Mentioned her birth, and faces went pale. Conversations died. People suddenly remembered urgent tasks that needed doing elsewhere. If you're watching this and thinking, why didn't she just push harder for answers? Drop a comment below. Because here's the thing, when everyone you trust refuses to speak, you start to believe maybe some questions shouldn't be asked. But truth has a way of surfacing. Like bodies in shallow graves, it started with a scar. Amara noticed it one morning while washing, a strange mark on her left forearm, shaped like a crescent moon. She'd had it her whole life, but suddenly, she couldn't stop staring at it. That night, the nightmares began. Fire. Always fire. Walls collapsing. Smoke filling her lungs. And through it all, a woman's voice calling a name. Not Amara. A different name. A name that felt like home and terror all at once. She'd wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, Samuel's hands shaking her shoulders. It's just dreams, he'd whisper. Just dreams. But we both know dreams are just memories we're too afraid to claim. Everything changed at the market. Amara was buying vegetables when an old woman selling herbs went completely still. The woman's eyes locked onto Amara's arm, the scar visible below her rolled sleeve. The basket fell from the woman's hands. Vegetables scattered. Her face drained of color like someone had opened a vein. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Before Amara could ask what was wrong, the woman grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. Her fingers trembled. Her voice cracked. The evil of yesterday has returned. Then she ran. An old woman, barely able to walk minutes before, sprinted through the market like death itself was chasing her. Amara stood frozen. People stared. Then, as if on cue, they all looked away. That same suffocating silence she'd known her entire life. If you're getting chills right now, smash that like button. Because this is where the story stops being mysterious and starts being dangerous. Amara went home and did what any of us would do. She searched. Through Samuel's things. Through boxes he'd told her never to touch. Through the past he'd buried. Hidden in the lining of her baby blanket, sewn into layers of cloth, she found it. A letter. Partially burnt. Written in handwriting that shook with fear. The words were fragmented, but their meaning cut clean. They know what we saw. They'll come for us. If you're reading this, protect our daughter. They called us evil, but the evil was always theirs. Betrayal. Blood. They'll erase us from history, but please, don't let her become what they are. Promise of revenge will only feed the darkness. Amara read it 7 times. Each time, her hands shook harder. That night, Samuel found her on the floor, the letter clutched against her chest. He didn't try to take it. He didn't lie anymore. He just sat down beside her and said the words that shattered her world. You were never mine. I saved you from the fire that killed your real family. Finally, the truth. But truth is a weapon. And Amara was about to learn how to use it. Her real family name was Okafor. Samuel told her everything. The Okafors were respected ones. Landowners. Community leaders. But they witnessed something they shouldn't have. Village elders stealing land, forging documents, destroying evidence. When the Okafors threatened to report it, the elders made a choice. Eliminate the problem. Erase the witnesses. Burn the evidence. On that night 15 years ago, the fire wasn't an accident. It was execution. Doors were blocked, escape routes cut off, and the village watched. Some out of fear, some out of complicity, none out of innocence. Your family name was buried with them, Samuel said, tears streaming down his weathered face. People were told the Okafers were criminals, that they deserved what happened. Fear made them believe it. Guilt made them forget. Drop a comment if you think Samuel was a hero or a coward for staying silent all those years. Because that's the question Amara asked herself every day after. But there was no time for judgment. Only action. She had to see it. The place where she was born. The place where her family died. She was going back to the ashes. The village looked normal. Too normal. Houses rebuilt. Gardens blooming. Children playing in streets that once ran with blood and ash. History scrubbed clean with new paint and convenient amnesia. But the air felt wrong. Heavy. Like the earth itself remembered what people chose to forget. Amara walked through the town square, and faces turned. Old faces. Faces that had seen things. Done things. Recognition flickered in their eyes. Not of her name. Of her features. The shape of her nose. The curve of her jaw. The eyes that belonged to a family they'd helped destroy. Doors closed. Curtains drew. The village contracted around her like a fist. One man, braver or more foolish than the rest, approached. You shouldn't be here, he muttered. Leave while you can. Why? Amara asked. Because some ghosts should stay buried. She found the land where her family home once stood. Now it was just empty ground, surrounded by a rusted fence. At the edge stood a dead tree, blackened and twisted, like it had absorbed all the pain and refused to grow again. Amara climbed over the fence. Beneath that tree, hidden under layers of dirt and time, she found them. Bones. Small pieces of jewelry, a ring, a bracelet, a locket with photos too burnt to see clearly. This is where her mother died. This is where her father fell. This is where her siblings took their last breaths, and no one had even bothered to give them a proper grave. If you're feeling that rage building in your chest right now, you understand exactly what Amara felt. Comment justice if you think what happened next was deserved. Over the next 3 weeks, Amara investigated like her life depended on it. Because it did. She interviewed the few people willing to talk. She bribed others with money she didn't have. She dug through old records in the town archives that reeked of mold and secrets. The pattern emerged like a photograph developing in chemicals. The village elders, 7 men who controlled everything, had stolen over 40 parcels of land through forged documents. They'd made themselves wealthy while families starved. The Okafers discovered the fraud and threatened to expose them. So the elders made a decision. A final solution. They hired men from outside the village. Paid them to start the fire. Paid them to make sure no one escaped. Paid the village to look the other way. And when it was over, they rewrote the story. The Okafers became the villains. Criminals who died in a tragic accident. Their name became a curse. Evil was not Amara's family. Evil was fear. Greed. The silence of good people who chose comfort over courage. Amara stood at a crossroads. In one hand, she held evidence. Documents. Testimonies. Proof that could destroy everyone responsible. In the other hand, she held a can of gasoline and a match. She could expose the truth and let justice take its course. Or she could give them the same hell they gave her family. Watch them burn. Hear them scream. Balance the scales with blood and ash. What would you do? Seriously. Comment below. Because this is the moment that defines everything. Amara chose exposure. At midnight, she sent every piece of evidence to authorities in the capital. Journalists. Human rights organizations. She released the story everywhere, all at once, so it couldn't be buried again. By dawn, the arrests began. Police cars rolled into the village like an